have a real good discussion about some very important issues. And you took time away from a very busy day job, both of you, to come and help the country, I think, focus. And Peter, I've really enjoyed working with you, and we have a little difference of opinion on this particular issue, but the idea that America has gaps in her defenses is really a timely topic. And we do. We have gaps in our defenses in securing our southern border. We have gaps in our defenses by allowing people to overstay their visas. All 19 hijackers were here illegally, but they didn't cross the border of Mexico. They came here on a visa. They had multiple driver's license, so easily to fake documents. And we're still, almost 10 years out now, and I don't think we've learned all the lessons we should have learned. But that's one thing we can agree on here. I was in New York Sunday night at the Marriott Marquis, the very place where this SUV was found, and I couldn't have been better treated by the police department and by the people at the hotel. I went to a Yankees game Monday, and they won 4-1. So to anybody who is worried about going to New York, go. I have never seen a more professional group of people other than the United States military. At the ball game, on the streets, all over the place. And it was a wonderful experience. So New York is open for business, and you're going to be well taken care of, but there's a risk of getting out of bed. So if you don't, maybe a meteor hits you at home, meteorite. So it is a responsible thing to do for Americans to be talking about topics such as this. But there has to be balance here, and I'm in the camp that I'm not so sure this is the right solution to what really presents what the dangers are. The D.C. gun ban law was an experiment that if you had a law against owning a handgun, you would be safer. I don't think that worked. And the Supreme Court said that went too far. And they're about to issue a ruling here soon to determine whether or not gun ownership is an individual right. And I would argue that will affect the outcome of this legislation. But I've been told, and I'm not going to ask you to give me specific numbers, but here's a general question. There's 1,228 people on the watch list that tried to purchase a handgun. Is that right?
Numbers like that.
Okay. What percentage of those people are facing terrorism charges now?
I don't know, Senator, but let me start off by saying I couldn't agree with you more. Border security, this country does not have control of its borders, and it should.
Yep.
Visa overstay, 40% of the undocumented here,
right.
The estimates are. Forged documents, anybody can forge a passport or a green card or
Social Security
card.
Absolutely.
And we should do something about
Amen.
that. We should get control of our borders. We track people when they come through immigration. We don't track them when they leave. So
Absolutely.
we don't know who's
Absolutely.
overstaying. We should fix that. We have documents that are too easy to fake, and it's a joke. We have to get control of immigration in this country.
Absolutely.
We need immigrants, but we should be choosing who comes here, what skills, where they come from, and not let who wants to come here determine that. So I'm 100% with you.
And you are, and you've been very forward-leaning in a balanced way, and that's why I look forward to working with you fixing immigration comprehensively.
When it comes to reasonable restrictions, which the Supreme Court said are acceptable and consistent with the Second Amendment, I think this is a reasonable restriction. I don't know whether any of the 1,100 or 1,200 on the watch list are facing charges at the moment, those that bought guns. Maybe Ray can tell you. But I do know that if society decides that these people are too dangerous to get on an airplane with other people, then it's probably appropriate to look very hard before you let them buy a gun.
I totally understand what you're saying, but we're talking about a constitutional right here. And the reason I brought that up, Mayor, and Mr. Kelly, Commissioner Kelly, if all these people are fanatics and every one of them on the watch list is a terrorist planning an attack, it would be odd that 1,228 who we know tried to buy a gun, none of them are being charged with a terrorism-related offense. So there's a disconnect here between what we're saying in reality. There are 400,000 people on the terrorist watch list. What percentage of them are American citizens?
I couldn't give you an answer.
Well, the law prohibits purchase of a gun unless you're an American citizen or a legal resident alien. So I think we're talking about a fairly small percentage of 400,000 people. And the NRA, see, some people believe banning handguns is the right answer to the gun violence problem. I'm not in that camp. I believe my right to own a gun shouldn't be infringed because some nut is going to take a gun and use it wrongfully. I just think you should prosecute them very swiftly and forcefully. I am all into national security. I want us to take our Social Security cards and make them biometric. I want to stop reading these guys their Miranda rights. Me and Peter are so much on board here. You know, your son's a Marine, former Marine, is that right?
Myself?
Yeah. No? Is that right?
Years.
He was a fighter pilot, right?
Oh, my son.
Yeah.
My son was a former fighter pilot.
Okay.
He also went to the commissioner as a Marine also
Well,
in Vietnam.
I knew I liked you, now I know why. At the end of the day, Mr. Chairman, you have been great on this issue. Nobody in their right mind would expect a Marine to read someone caught on the battlefield their rights. You catch them and you interrogate them lawfully to gather intelligence. Your special unit is probably the best in the world at this. But I don't think it's smart for us to say that the homeland is not part of the battlefield. You get to America, you get a much better deal. You get rewarded. If you can be caught in Pakistan and intelligence gathering can happen with the intelligence agency without your Miranda warnings being given, why should you get a better deal when you get here? Even if you're an American citizen helping the enemy, you should be viewed as a potential military threat, not some guy who tried to commit a crime in Times Square. So I look forward to working with the New York City Police Department, the Mayor of New York, Peter King, to devise a law that recognizes we're at war, that when you capture someone like y'all did, and it was a marvelous piece of not police work alone, but of a combination of intelligence gathering and police work, that you would have the opportunity to hold this suspect because they represent a military threat to our country, even though they're a citizen, and be able to gather intelligence before you did anything else, because what I want to know more about this guy is not how he committed the crime, but what led him to commit the crime and who he worked with. And Miranda warnings are counterproductive in my view. So we need a law that would allow you to go to a judge somewhere like a FISA judge and hold a suspect like this, and working with the intelligence officials of this country to gather intelligence, then make a good prosecutorial decision. Now, back to this issue at hand. The problem I have is that the watch list, when you look at the numbers, has so many problems with it that I think is not appropriate to go down the road that we're going because a constitutional right is involved. And that's my only concern, and I understand from a mayor's perspective and a police chief's perspective how you feel about this issue, but please understand that I feel differently, not because I care less about terrorism.
Senator, perhaps